So one question has to do with old age. You know, old age is a fragile and vulnerable time for, you know, for many people. And the question is, what can we do to become more resilient and ensure a happier future?
Yeah, so there is fortunately a lot of research on well-being and aging. And there are some very interesting findings. So the first finding, which many people find surprising, is that on average, happiness levels go up as we age. So there is the least happy age. There is actually an average, which, I mean, it's quite meaningless because it doesn't mean that it's for me or for you. It means that it's an average. But we are at our unhappiest on average when we are 47.9 years old. So
I'm glad it's over for me.
Again, me too. Yeah, been there, done that. So, but, you know, of course, there are people who are experiencing the lowest period when they are 40 or 55 or 20 or 90. But on average, 47.9. And the interesting thing is that we see a U shape. In other words, you know, we're pretty happy and then we go down, and then at 47.9 or whenever it starts to go up. And then unless there are serious health issues or, you know, life circumstances, then generally happiness levels do go up with age. And the interesting question is why? And the short answer is that as we age, we understand what is really important to us. And as we age, we also become more accepting of our imperfections. So, you know, usually when you're young, you believe you can do anything. And if you can't do everything, then it brings you down. Whereas where you age, you understand your limitations, your human limitations that exist at every age, and you accept and embrace them and you live with them. So that's one reason. Related to the first reason I give, you know, you realize what is most important, you spend more quality time with people you care about and who care about you. That's a relational well-being, number one predictor of happiness. With all that said, there are still certain things that contribute to healthy aging and to fulfilling your potential for happiness as you age. For example, physical exercise. John Ratey did a reports on a meta-analysis study that looks at all the studies on a particular topic, a meta-analysis on exercise and aging. And what he shows is that regular physical exercise, even if we started later on in life, reduces the likelihood of Alzheimer, of dementia, by 52%. Now, Alzheimer and dementia are becoming more and more pervasive. A, because people are living longer, B, because of nutrition, C, because of less exercise. So exercising regularly, consistently, at any age, by the way, this is what I would tell a 3-year-old, but certainly when we are, 83-year-old, to be physically active, if possible, of course, whether it's walking or swimming or qigong or dancing or whatever it is. But being physically active, that contributes to healthy aging. 2, finding meaning in what we're doing, or finding activities that provide us with meaning. You often hear the stories, this person has for 40 years thought about the day when they would finally retire from their work. And finally, they're in their 60s, 70s, they retire, and a month later, they either die or they have, contract some terrible disease or become depressed. Why? Because we need a sense of meaning and purpose. And even though they maybe didn't like their work, at least it gave them a reason to get up in the morning. At least it gave them some sense of meaning and purpose. So, I look at my mom as a role model on so many levels. But one level is, retirement. So my mom was a school teacher for 40 plus years.
Wow.
And found a lot of meaning and purpose in her work. I wasn't the only one who called her mom. Many of her students did. So she's a very, really extraordinary teacher. And then she retired and initially felt a sense of emptiness, but then very quickly found a sense of meaning and purpose in other things. So, for example, she spends a lot more time than she did before with her grandchildren, which is very meaningful to her. In addition, she became, of all things, a matchmaker. And she loves it. And she says, it's the only profession in the world that she knows of where it costs you money to do it. Why? Because she's volunteering, and then she's invited to weddings of the matches that she makes, and she has to buy a gift. So it costs her money. And she's so happy because she was able to find meaning and purpose in something else. So finding meaning, and it doesn't matter. It could be, in your social club that you go there every day and you play together and you talk about politics or golf or whatever. It could be volunteering. It could be spending more time with your family because maybe you didn't have as much time before, or with friends, or learning a new hobby. Learning, that's also very important for exercising the mind, for healthy aging. And finally, and this is research done by Rebecca Levy. She's from Yale University. And what she shows is just how important our perception of aging is. There is this whole movement of anti-aging. What is anti-aging? Whether it's procedures on your face, on your body, whether it's cold therapy, whether it's certain foods, biohacking. It's a whole new industry, which I have no problem with. Each to his or her own. If you want to do it, great. If it helps, fantastic. But what I do have an issue with is the name of this whole approach, anti-aging. I think we need a movement called pro-aging, because what Rebecca Levy shows is that people's perception of old age, whether they see it as positive or negative, actually affects the quality of their life and the quantity of their life. So if I see old age as problematic, as something that I hope I never get there, and when I am there, I keep on saying, oh, the good old days. I wish. Then if I have an anti-aging perspective, I'm less likely to enjoy my old age. I'm less likely to be healthy. Whereas if I see aging as challenging at times, of course, there are certain things that I cannot do today that I could do when I was 25. And, when I'm 75, there are certain things that I won't be able to do that I'm doing today. But still, there are also upsides to aging. We learn, we become, hopefully, wiser, more accepting, more loving, more giving. And the more we can positively look at aging, the happier we'll be and the healthier we'll be. Quality of our life will improve, and the quantity will actually live longer of our life will improve.
Wow, I love that concept. And also we have to add that as we grow, we become farther away from the 47.3 years that you mentioned before. Perfect. So Tal, would it be possible, is it possible actually to induce happiness through chemicals? And is that something ethical to do if it were possible?
Yeah, that's a very, very tough question, and that I'm often asked about, and I often think about. So generally people, ask me, so are you for or against psychiatric medication? And the answer is not a simple one. Psychiatric medication, for example, has helped many people. It has saved many lives. I know some people, some of them very intimately, whose lives were saved thanks to medication. at the same time, it's becoming too easy, meaning prescriptions are given without leaving space for suffering and pain and unhappiness that are also an important part of life. You know, I would often ask students, and think about it yourselves, about going back to the most important experience in terms of personal growth and development in their lives. And so they think about it for a minute, And I bet you that if I was asking you now, most of you, just as most people around the world would think back to an experience which wasn't easy, which was challenging, whether it was a loss, a disappointment, some deep, real, often painful challenge. Now, imagine if we could just do away with these times. Every time I feel a bit of, challenging or hardships or conflict or difficulty or loss, I can pop a pill or do something with my brain to change all that and feel better immediately. I think that would be problematic because it would prevent us from growing and learning and becoming who we can be. Now, does this mean that we should always suffer and always reject the help of chemicals? Of course not. There are times, after a while when, we've struggled and suffered, and what will help then is a pill or some other external intervention. So that's my philosophy regarding medication. Now, there is a lot more work being done recently on other form of chemical stimulants. For example, certain mushrooms that have been used for thousands of years. Many of them in the forests of Latin America, some of them in Asia, few of them in Europe. And the question is, are they good for us? And here the jury is still out. There is a lot of research being done today by some very serious scholars showing that we can go through significant processes with the help of chemicals that we are unlikely to go through without them. Now, the thing about these chemicals is that it can also be very dangerous. So we obviously need to do it with professional supervision. We need to do it with within a very protected environment. But I suspect that over the next 10 years, we will hear a lot more about psychological interventions that rely on some of these very powerful chemicals.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tal. And I would like to invite you to share with us one practice or exercise or meditation that for you is the most, well, I know you have plenty and it has to suit every person, it's not one size fits all, but for you, Tal, what is the one practice or exercise that really brings about higher levels of well-being?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, there are many things that I do, like, I keep a gratitude journal and I exercise physically, at least 3 times a week, usually 5. And I keep a journal where I write about my emotions. So all these are very important. But if I had to mention one, it's something that, again, my mom came up with. And she said, imagine if you can take 15 minutes on even once a week, 15 minutes, during which you will be extra kind to other people. It could be when you're in the airport, or it could be when you're in the supermarket, or it could be when you're with your family. And during those 15 minutes, go out of your way to be kind, to be generous, to be nice. The impact that these 15 minutes can have are remarkable. Why? Because first of all, kindness is contagious. So if you're kind to others, they're likely to be kind to you and to others. It starts off an upward spiral. So it's not just the 15 minutes that are going to be affected. 15 minutes are going to be the official intervention, but unofficially, informally, you're going to actually more likely to continue to be kind after. But make a point, write down in your schedule or in your journal, 15 minutes, or if you want to really go wild, 30 minutes of being extra kind when you are around other people. And don't forget during those 15, 30 minutes to also be extra kind to yourself, because you're also part of that community, part of the whole.
Wonderful. Well, Tal, I want to thank you so much on behalf of Irradiate More and IBI, Instituto de Bienestar Integral, for helping us bring closure to this incredible series of happiness, Alcánzala si puedes. And we are very happy to count on your support and your presence. And I don't know if you have any final remarks that you would like to share.
Just deep gratitude to you, Arlene, deep gratitude to EB, deep gratitude to the Irradiate More tribe. I think it's wonderful what you're doing, and what you're doing is not just affecting you as individuals, it's affecting the people you come in contact with, and by extension, the people they contact, and it really does radiate outwards and affects our world for the better. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Tal. And let's end with a saying that it's really well known by this wonderful group of people, which is, porque tribu somos.
Y en tribu vamos.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tal.
Thank you.